Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, She Sews Happiness. I'm Mary Ellen and this is my latest installment or episode, whatever we want to call it, of Sunday Sews, where I catch up with you about my sewing this week, what I've been up to, the things I've been making, and even what I plan to be doing next week as well. So yeah, it's a beautiful spring day. I've been out and about, which is why I look a wee bit flustered. But sure, I'm indoors now and hopefully the rosy cheeks will settle down just a little bit. I just want to say before I start chatting to you about my makes and stuff this week that I really do appreciate your support here. It's been lovely to chat to a lot of you as well, even just in comments, or if you find me over on Instagram where we can talk a little bit more freely in private messages and everything like that. But when I started making these films a couple of months ago, I had no idea why anyone would even want to listen to me, and the fact that there's like 700 of you here already is really humbling in a way. Where I am, my circle of friends are absolutely wonderful, but I am in my little world, in real life, so to speak, the only person who sews. So yeah, I don't really chat about my sewing too much throughout the week, apart from the odd compliment I might get on an item of clothing I'm wearing, and I tell people that I've made that, and you get the rejoinder, oh, I wish I could do that, it's really difficult. You could do that, or oh, could you make me one of those? Flat no, I'm afraid. But apart from that, I don't really chat about my sewing other than online. So it's lovely to have you here and to share in this with me and to share what you're up to as well. So where was I when I left you this time last week? I was making my Pan Bolero, and I think I was filled with a little bit of fear and trepidation because I had been showing you this little bag that I was making up with the fabric that I was making my bolero out of. And of course I was having a few issues with getting several layers of this very thick sustainable wool through my machine. Now I did it, but it was not without effort and not without a few cracklings or vibrations of the machine. So I realized the walking foot had to come out, and I don't use a walking foot very often. It's not like I quilt or anything like that, so I never really have that ready at hand. So I had to go rooting through the many sewing boxes that I've got just to find it. I think I've used it like once before. And I got it onto the machine, and funny enough, all of the problems disappeared until I was making up my bolero and I got to the collar section. So at this point there's 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of fabric, but also all of the seams sandwiched in together as well. Sorry, bit of an interruption there. My camera was giving me that warning that the memory is always nearly full. I'm really good at just not deleting my videos once I finish with them, so yeah. That would have been terrible if I'd just been recording away and the memory was full. So back to where I was sandwiching through so many layers that the walking foot did come in really, really handy. It did struggle a little bit, but at the same time, with a little bit of use of the hand wheel, we did manage to get through all of those layers okay. And I do have my finished Pan Bolero. Now, if this is a pattern you're not familiar with, it's from Gertie's Patreon, and it was, I think, one of the earlier patterns, like a couple of years ago, and I've now made it quite a few times, but making it this time was totally different because I'd usually made it in just some stable knits. I'd never made it in a wool before, and I do have to say that the quality of this wool is incredible. It was actually gifted to me by Minerva. It's a sustainable wool, 100% of course, but it does still have that little bit of stretch built in there, as you would expect, like a boiled wool kind of thing, and I loved working with it. Now it's probably the wrong time of the year to have made it, but I'm going to get so much wear out of this. I could probably get away with this in the colder days. We have had some snow and sleet in Northern Ireland this week, so you know, it wasn't completely ridiculous to make it. But the construction is wonderful. You have very, very few parts. You basically have your front and your back. The arms are grow-on, so they're attached, and your back has 2 little darts just to give it a wee bit of shaping. And then you have your facing pieces, so your front facing piece, your back facing piece, and your collars. That's essentially it. It is one of the most simple patterns I've ever worked with. And you can see, I mean, how neat it is inside. There's no waistband or anything like that. It's all just the facing. And then the outside, when you top stitch that facing down, you get this beautiful illusion of a waistband as well, which I think is more pronounced because I was stitching with this wool. And I love the fact that it's more like a coat. It still has that bolero style, so it's not buttoned up or anything like that. It just has that little, and I've just popped on a little popper, as you can see, just to keep it closed there at the top. I haven't even bothered with a button or anything because it would be too chunky to put a self-covered button, and I think just an average old button would completely ruin the look of this beautiful wool. So yeah, really delighted with my bolero. And just to finish it off, you can see here a little label. This one is from Little Rosy Cheeks and just says, I am unique. Whether you want to make that statement about yourself or about your clothing, doesn't really matter. It's a great statement to make. So I will just set this aside for now and pop in a little image of me wearing it so you can see what I mean about it being more like a jacket. It would look lovely just over a long sleeve dress or anything like that in the autumn or winter, so I'm thrilled with that and I can't wait to put that into my wardrobe. From there then, I'm actually moving on to this little make that I'm wearing, which is, if I just stand up slightly, essentially just a t-shirt dress. So plain top, little pleated skirt with pockets. This is the Colette Moneta Dress. Now it is a pattern that I've talked about before, and sadly it's no longer available because whenever Colette Patterns went over to Seamwork, there were like 4 patterns that couldn't come across because of copyright issues with the designers and things like that. But I'm so thankful I have this because this is a real staple in my everyday wardrobe, whether that's for dog walking or sitting working at home or even just going in for a casual day at the office. I find these to be a real staple. This is just a plain cotton jersey which I purchased from the Sewist fabric shop. And I just love this kind of khaki green colour. I love greens anyhow because, you know, red hair, it just seems to work. And it is one of the easiest patterns to make. Now, one of the things I love about this, and this pattern taught me one of the best techniques I think I've ever learned, and that was how to create your gathers in your stretch garments by using elastic. So I'm actually going to make a little quick video after this to pop in to show you how that works. And just let me remind myself of who it was that actually asked me to do that. It was somebody over on Instagram asked me if I would show how that works because it wasn't a technique they have used before. See Stelly Sew. So yes, see Stelly Sew, I'm going to make a quick video to slot it in to show you how that works a wee bit later on before I upload my video. Okay, so as I said, I'm just going to show you quickly the technique where you create your gathers by using clear elastic. So this is clear elastic here, and you can see just how much stretch there is in clear elastic. And this, I would say as well, is important to note that not all clear elastics are created equal. The one that I use is this. It's the frame elastic T6. It's 6mm in width, which makes it perfect for this kind of technique. And it is stronger. It doesn't look it sometimes. You see some clear elastics that would look stronger. Even a lingerie elastic would look a lot stronger than this. But I have never ever encountered anything better than this. So yeah, essentially what you'll do is you'll stretch this to create the gathers in your fabric as you sew. Now the skirt that I was sewing, basically how I did that was I had my skirt pieces and I had my bodice, and essentially what I did was I cut my elastic exactly the same size as my bodice and added an inch or two either side and created 4 equal parts, and then just marked the sides and the front and back of my skirt, and I stretched my elastic in each of those quarters to reach that part of my skirt pieces. So when you're doing this, you're going to want a zigzag stitch. You probably could use like the triple stitch or your lightning stitch if you have that setting on your machine. But on my machine, if I just turn this around and bring this up to show you, I'm not sure if it'll come up in the lighting here, but I will be using my zigzag stitch. I'll be doing it at 2.5 for the width of my zigzags, and the length is 2. Okay, so let me just show you then how it works and how easy it actually is. So the first thing I'm going to do then is get my piece of fabric, just a little scrap that was left over from before, and we'll do it on the other side just because that one's curling on me the way I cut it. And then you've got your little bit of overhang there, and you're going to want to keep this within your seam allowance, okay? So what I'm going to do then, I'll know what my measurement is because I'll have marked on my elastic what piece of the elastic needs to stretch to what piece of my fabric. But this is just an example, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. But before you do start stretching, the first thing you're going to want to do is just root your elastic in. Remembering to backstitch if you're using a zigzag. And then all you're going to do is start stitching, pulling your elastic to the point you need it. And you may need to guide it through a little bit just at the start. And then when you get to the end, again, you're going to want to do your back stitch just to secure it in place. Pull that off, and if I pull that out, what you'll see is perfect gathers, which I think look much, much neater on a stretch garment than usual. And just to show you the extent to which that's built in, that stretch, there you go. And really all that's going to do then is make your garment last a bit longer so it doesn't kind of warp out of shape or anything like that. And that is simply as easy as it is. So if that will zoom in for me, I'm not sure if it is or not. There we go. See the wee light coming on now. So there you go. Those are your gathers. So hopefully that's useful to you and everybody else. And yeah, I'm just glad I reminded myself to do that. And that's it done. But yeah, I'm delighted with this because I'm going to wear it so much. I love the fact that it's so plain as well. I do try to make a few plain versions of my wardrobe because as you probably have noticed, I love big jewellery and statement jewellery. I have quite a large collection of acrylic jewellery. So like earrings like these, I think don't really go with very full-on prints. So yeah, sometimes I get to pull beautiful things like this out to wear with plainer garments. So I'm delighted with that as well. So yeah, so I've got 2 garments finished this week so far, and then I have this one as well behind me. Technically I have 3 because it is finished. It literally just needs the threads all chopped off. They're hanging on there that I forgot. While I was stitching it up, I lost my trusty snips. They were hiding under my sewing machine. So a few things got missed, and actually these are one of my favourite tools. Apart from my sewing scissors themselves, which are also LDH, I just love this. Love having them technically beside me, because it usually does mean that my garments don't have threads hanging off them at the end. So I have a few things to do on that, and I just have a couple of wee things to sew in place. Everything's done. I mean, the hemming's done, the cuffs have been hand stitched, the internal waistband has been hand stitched. There's just a little bit in the back where the zipper needs to be hand stitched in place because it's just folded over in a little flap. I'll pop a picture in so you can see. This is actually another of my favourite dresses. I have made this more times than I can probably count at the top of my head. This is a Sew Over It Marguerite dress. And this, I think, is a perfect dress for somebody who hasn't really quite mastered fitting yet. This is a very forgiving dress. So essentially what you have is that lovely kind of scoop round neck. You have dolman sleeves, so there's no fitting aspects to worry about in terms of sleeves. That was one of my greatest problems whenever I first started sewing. It was my greatest problem as well when I was shopping ready to wear. And as I have probably chatted about in previous videos, I've been everything from a size 6 to a size 18. And it doesn't matter what size I was. even at my smallest, I always had issues with fitting my arms into clothing. So yeah, I always end up having to buy up or to buy stretch and to buy sleeveless garments when really what I wanted was a gorgeous tailored piece. But I've managed to work my way around that now that I've started sewing, and one of the first adjustments I did have to learn how to do was to do a bicep adjustment. And I have to say, out of all of them, it's one of the easiest. Just like a bust adjustment, once you're used to doing it a couple of times, you don't have to think about it anymore. And yeah, it's opened up the world for me so much in terms of clothing and fashion. So yeah, I love this. So as I was saying, the dolman sleeves, and then all of the shaping on this, apart from a bust dart, is done by way of gathers. I'll actually just pull the dress in for you slightly so you can see that. Okay, also don't judge me because I haven't got around to ironing it yet. So as I was saying, we have this lovely neckline. I absolutely adore this neckline. You have these little grown-on sleeves, okay, and then we cuffs on them. You've got here your bust dart, which I've made sure points to my apex, and then you've got your waistband, and at your waistband what you'll notice is you have some gathers here in the center of the bodice, and you've got some gathers the whole way around the skirt. Also at the back, and you can see that poking out, that's what I have to hand stitch. You've got gathers just here, and that is where all the shaping is from on this garment. So pop that back and start chatting to you again. And when I was moving that, I hit the lever on my chair and I was like, why do I look so shrunken here at the moment? That was why. So what else have I got to tell you? Because those are all of my makes for the week. I know I had mentioned last week as well that I had intended on making a sew over penny dress as well from this wine burgundy shade of polka dot viscose. Now I haven't got to that yet. This fabric actually from Rainbow Fabrics, and it is my colour. I just love greens and rich reds, anything really, really rich seems to work for me. Pastels and things do not work, and I know like lilac for instance is all the rage at the moment. It looks horrific on me. It makes me look like a 12-year-old girl, so I'm staying away from that. But yes, I haven't got that done. That's not to say it won't get done. It's certainly on the cards for next week, or maybe the week after that, because next week I have a couple of plans in the works already. So the first one is to toile. So while I've now been in my comfort zone, making a couple of patterns that I'm well versed in, that I know exactly how to make for myself, I need to toile a new pattern. I can't even show you it yet. It's for a blog, for the Jenny Stitches blog. And I suppose she wouldn't mind if I shared it, but I also want to have a little element of suspense. So I'm going to toile that pattern this week. It'll probably take 2 or 3 goes. And then I'm going to sew that up in this gorgeous fabric godmother viscose, which Jenny has gifted me to create my blog from. If you saw my video yesterday, you will have seen me waxing lyrical about this beautiful print. And even though I do not need another floral print, I just could not resist choosing this one for my post. And actually then, just as I got off from making my video yesterday, Jenny uploaded even more floral fabrics, and there's one in particular that I just need. I need it. I can't say no to it. So it's going to be going into my shopping cart. So much for my stop buying fabric. Yeah, it's not really working out. So I'm going to be toiling and getting that right, because that is one of the things that I know I do stress quite a lot when I'm on chatting to you, that toiling is so important. There is nothing worse than getting a beautiful fabric, then taking a pattern out of the packet and just making it up. I might as well just go into the store and buy some size 14 and just put it on and go, oh great, look at all the issues there are here. But sure, that's like everything. Oh, it just fills me with dread, the idea of not toiling something, the idea of just sticking something on and having to be happy with it or then complaining about it. I don't want to be the one who's complaining about the fit whenever it's my fault it doesn't fit because I didn't bother putting the work in. And I've had a couple of conversations with people recently and they're just like, no, I don't toile, I won't toile. Don't get it. I just don't get it. It's so beyond me. It just seems so wasteful. And so many of us come into sewing with this great reason, sustainability. And when you don't toile, you completely undermine the idea of sustainability, which is to create pieces of clothing for your wardrobe that are going to last, that you're going to love, that you're going to want to repair. If you're just making some shoddy thing that you put on and have like 100 issues with, are you really going to want to keep that and wear that and make the most of it? I don't think so. So toiling is so important and never ever worth skipping. That's not to say I get the fit perfect even after toiling. I'm not a professional, I'm not a couturier, but I do my best and that's good enough for me. And if I get stuck, I always give my friend a buzz, Lisa, who's also over on Bububun. You'll find her here as well on YouTube as well as on Instagram, and she does keep me right, and she's always encouraging me to do better, and she knows that I can take that criticism without taking it too personally. I think constructive criticism is essential if we want to get better at anything, and that includes sewing. So toiling and making my beautiful project for the Jenny Stitches blog is high on my agenda next week. That's not to say I'll get the dress made next week, because I won't. It'll be the week after, but still, you'll see that one soon. And then the other thing I do want to make next week, and again I showed you this yesterday, is my Easter dress. Now Easter actually coincides with my birthday. My birthday is on Good Friday, and I think this is adorable. So even just going out for a picnic if the weather's good, or heading out for brunch or something, I think this is going to make a really, really cute dress, and I absolutely have that upside down. So I do like a novelty cotton, I have to say, and it opens up so much whenever you're making your own clothes, that you can wear a lot of things that you probably would never have worn before. And I think that's one of the things I do love about it. But I mean, if that doesn't scream spring, what does? And I think this will actually work for me enough because of those yellows and greens that are in there, and then the browns of the little hairs themselves. It's not so pale that it's insipid, which is always my fear with lighter colours. But I think this is actually quite a bold print. I'm sure you will agree. And apart from that then, the only other thing I have on my agenda is to start making my own lingerie. Because in terms of my handmade wardrobe, it's the only thing I have left to do apart from shoes. I'm always going to buy shoes. I'm not going to start making those anytime soon. Although I know there are some really, really good kits and stuff you can buy to make your own shoes, but no. I need one thing that I can still go shopping for that isn't makeup and jewellery. So I'm not even going to try that. But the other thing then, just to to round things up, that I'm looking to make and also to toile is a pattern that I have just bought over the last few weeks, and it's been sitting there banked until I could find the right fabrics and stuff to go with it, and it's the Designer Stitch Olivia bralette and knickers set. So because I haven't made it and I haven't even toiled it, I can't show you it. So I'm just going to pop in the image of the pattern and shift over slightly because it's a big image and I want to make sure you see it. So I think this is a lovely pattern. It's a two-piece soft lingerie set. It's very casual. It's nothing too fitted, which can be made in so many different fabrics, wool or velvet, or like just, what's the word, lingerie jersey. I'm not even sure what else you could make it in. I could just check the notes and see what else they recommend, fabric requirements. So yeah, it says here cotton as well. So cotton 95%, spandex 5%. So I have some of this left, which I'll be able to use to toile it up and see how it works. But what I love about this pattern is that it's quite good in terms of sizing. So a lot of the lingerie patterns are quite limited. So for curvier sewists like myself, this was a real treat. It comes in sizes UK 6 to 30, which is US 2 to 26, European 34 to 58. The cup sizes included are B, C, D, double D, E and F. And it does say here as well that it is for confident, advanced, beginners and above sewing levels. So it's quite easy, I think, to make up. And I'm looking forward to trying that. I have ordered some supplies from New Craft House, which have been dispatched. They just haven't arrived yet, but I'm really, really excited to get those. I've got them in a gorgeous kind of like greyish blue. It's beautiful. And then all of the fittings and elastics and everything are in matching colours. So I don't know if you're familiar with New Craft House, but they deal in designer dead stock fabrics. And I loved the last range that they brought out, which was all for making lingerie, and each of the fabrics were dyed to match all of the elastics and bindings and stuff like that. So I have a lovely collection of things coming, even just some knicker elastics and stuff too, to match everything up. So that'll be a really lovely make. I don't think it'll be one I'll be sitting filming my vlogs in or anything like that, but I'll certainly share with you my progress on that, because I do think as well with that size range I might end up finding a pattern that really does work for me, which will be a soft attempt at lingerie before I start trying something more complicated. At the top of my list of things I'd really love to do is making a corset and some stays and things like that. I do have that interest in historical fashion, so that's another thing I do want to start building my skills up in gradually. So that's on there as well. And really then I think that's it. I think that's my roundup for this Sunday. And yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed seeing what I've been up to. And if you haven't used that technique for gathering your stretch fabrics by using the clear elastic, hopefully you'll give it a go. I think it's foolproof. I love it. It gives you gorgeous even gathers, which is what you're after. And yeah, it's really, really simple to do. So again, I just want to say thank you for stopping by, especially if you've lasted to the end of this video. And hopefully I'll be back with you again then next Sunday to show you progress in what I have been making. It's going to be another busy week, so I don't know how much I'll get done, but I'll certainly be sharing that with you along the way. So whatever you've been up to, hopefully you've had a fantastic weekend. Again, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. It's lovely to see people interested in what I'm doing. As I said at the beginning. But yeah, have a fantastic week everyone, and I'll catch up with you all soon. Happy stitching. Bye.